Hey folks, Mobile Geezer here with this week's Geezer Bits for Sunday, April 1st, 2018. So my first topic today is the notch. Of course, we've been hearing about the notch ever since Essential and Apple came out with it. Everybody's saying everybody else is copying Apple, but they weren't necessarily the first to have it, but they were one of the first to bring it out. Anyway, a lot of people complaining about the notch. I haven't had any experience with it or had one in my hand yet. I'm thinking it's probably not going to bother me very much, but we'll see when I get my hands on one. I guess at some point I will because it's looking to be unavoidable. Phones that are already out with the notch or are coming out soon. Asus Zenfone 5, of course the iPhone X, the Essential phone, the Ulefone T2 Pro, the Ligu S9, the Huawei P20, the Doji V, the Oppo R15, and the LG G7. These are just the ones we know about, but as you can see, they're high-end, low-end, probably everything in between. So I guess we all have to get used to the notch. LG actually went on Reddit this week asking users how they feel about the notch. And I quote, "We've seen a lot of comments around the notch over the past few weeks from people who love the quick access to the menu to those that hate the wasted screen space. We would love to gather some more feedback to share with our R&D team. And this is where you come in. So what do you think? Love the notch or is it notch your thing?" Close quote. I gather they pulled that down because maybe they didn't like some of the feedback they were getting. And pretty much we all know their next phone, the LG7 or whatever else it's going to be called, looks like it's coming with a notch, and they're probably not going to change the design at this point. So why they even bothered to ask, I don't know. I guess they thought they'd get a different answer than they got. But either way, I guess we're all going to be learning to love the notch one way or another. The OnePlus 6 is also coming out with a notch. And Carl Pei and Pete Lau have spent a lot of time in interviews talking about why it's necessary, why they're going to keep it in the OnePlus 6, and people are tired of even hearing them talk about it, apologize for it, whatever. So you know that's coming with the notch. Next up, this week the Huawei P20 and P20 Pro were announced, neither of which is coming to the US, just like the P10 and P10 Pro. Both have a very small notch, which they say you can hide when viewing. So maybe it won't be in the way for some people. The P20 has dual cameras. The P20 Pro has 3 cameras. The Pro has a telephoto lens with iOS, and the regular has an AI-assisted stabilization with 4 types of autofocus: laser, phase detection, depth, and contrast. So they're going to be expensive, especially the Pro, and we'd like to see it coming to the US, but my guess is you're going to have to import it if you want it, because it doesn't look like it's going to be released here at all. Next up, and more of interest to me, the Xiaomi Mi Mix 2S was announced in China this week. It's also going to be for the UK, and there's some rumor that it'll be available for the US at some point. It seems to support some US LTE frequencies, so if you do import it, you should be good there. And I can tell you I have the Xiaomi Mi A1, which wasn't made for the US, and it works just fine on T-Mobile for me. The Mi Mix 2S has 2 12-megapixel rear cameras that many people are saying are really, really excellent. Xiaomi says it'll challenge or do better than the iPhone X. Don't know if that's true, but people really seem to like these cameras, the few people that have had their hands on it. It's got a 5.9-inch Full HD screen, It's got the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845, so the latest and greatest processor, and it has wireless charging. I guess it comes in 3 variants, 64 gig with 6 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gig with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and 256 gig with 8 gigabytes of RAM. So I guess it goes from somewhere around $525 in the US to $700, maybe a little more, respectively. So some of us will be looking forward to that. I might get it in the future, maybe if it comes down a little bit more. So I think a lot of people will be interested in that. Also this week, the Sony Xperia XZ2 and the XZ2 Compact are up for pre-order in the US. Looks like the XZ2 will be $800 and the XZ2 Compact $600. So if you like Sony phones, and a lot of people do, you can go on Sony's US site and order them. And one interesting story I saw this week, TCL, the company that kind of brought BlackBerry back by switching over to Android, is planning to do the same thing with Palm phones. So they say they'll be launching a Palm phone using Android sometime this year. So you Palm lovers, get ready. And the last thing I had, of course, we've been discussing Huawei and how much the government is trying to stop everybody from buying their products. And of course, many of us techies have no trepidation about buying a Huawei phone. But Huawei says it is not giving up on the US market anytime soon, and they're here to stay. So to those of us that like Huawei phones, that's good to hear. So we'll see how they do in the near future and ongoing. So that's all I have for this week. And as always, comments are welcome, and thanks for watching.